Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. We're here for the Gameweek 5 deadline stream. And yeah, I have Murillo who's injured. He's currently still in the starting 11. I need to think about whether I want to remove him from the starting 11 and drop him down to the bench, play Van de Ven instead, or take a chance that he's in a bit of a situation where, if he's fit, he'll start. If he isn't, then he won't come on at all. So it's a bit of a call that I have to make before the Game Week 5 deadline. But yeah, I think overall for Game Week 5, I haven't had to make any transfers, and I'm mainly saving the transfer to bring Erling Haaland in Game Week 6. So we'll see what happens as we get closer to the deadline. But yeah, let's get chatting about some FPL. Let's wait for a couple more people to stream in. Thank you for all of you guys who have come early. Green bread pastry, as always, very early. Thank you for being here. Vincent, a couple members in the chat. Nice to see all of you guys. Vincent, Ricky, Nicholas, Henry, all of you guys. Good to see all of you. Right, so Vincent says Captain Gakpo or Semenyo. If it's between the two, I probably choose Semenyo because he has a chance of being on penalties. Start Pickford or Dubravka. I would start Dubravka ahead of Pickford. Henry, nice to see you. Ricky says, long time not joining your live stream. It's good to have you here with us, Ricky. Thank you for joining. Vincent says, is Isak worth the price without pens, or would you go for Mateta cheaper on pens? I think overall, as a rule of thumb, right now I just wouldn't go for Isak, right, because his minutes are just not secure at all. So I want to go for Isak. And the thing with Mateta is also it's a little bit tricky. He's played lots of minutes for Crystal Palace. There's not enough forwards. Eddie Nketiah is just coming back this week, so probably we'll see Mateta come off maybe in the 70th or 80th minute. But yeah, he needs a bit of a rest. He's been playing lots of games. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come off, especially if they have the game wrapped up by that time. Apologies, let me just... Okay, we got it. My bad. Yeah, so Henry says Milenkovic, Konza in the crowd, and Van de Ven. Choose 3 to start. So I'll start Milenkovic. I'll start Konza in the crowd. And I'll put Van de Ven on the bench. That's what I do. But yeah, I mean, basically, when I look at my team this week, should I take a chance on Murillo or bench him and start Van de Ven instead? It's something I'm thinking about. Other than that, I don't really have too much other decisions. It's whether I want to bench Reinders. I think benching Reinders is an option that I have considered. I have thought about it for sure. I mean, Arsenal away is not an easy game for Manchester City by any means. Elliot says, should I spend 2 transfers in Game Week 6 to swap Salah for Haaland, then wildcard in Game Week 7? Should I just wildcard in Game Week 6, deal with having Arsenal players against Newcastle in Game Week 6? So this is a great question. I have a Game Week 6 wildcard video that will come out after today's games. But basically, that is the downside of a Game Week 6 wildcard, where you have to play your Arsenal players against Newcastle, and on top of that, you would likely have to get your Chelsea assets. I mean, I would imagine your Game Week 6 wildcard has someone like Palmer, someone like João Pedro. They would have to play Liverpool in Game Week 7. Right? So actually, I think if you don't wildcard in Game Week 6, I prefer wildcarding in Game Week 8. I wouldn't wild card in game week 7 per se. Yeah, so I think in terms of my preference, whether it's game week 6 wild card or game week 8 wild card, then I mean I'm on a game week 8 wild card strategy. I prefer that, but I also know that there are teams out there, depending on your structure, that require a game week 6 wild card. So it's very, very team dependent. But yeah, if it's down to preference, I prefer to delay it a little bit more. Jinbin says Milankovic, Munoz, Pedro Porro, Van de Ven, bench one. I'll definitely bench one of the Spurs players, so it's likely Van de Ven. Surely Murillo doesn't come on at all if he makes the bench. That's what I'm thinking, right? If he's fit, I think he'll start. If he's not fit, I don't even think he'll make the bench. So I'm happy enough to gamble on Murillo starting against Burnley. Thank you for that, Elliot. Legend. Henry says, Ollie Watkins, Chris Wood, and Salah. Who's a good option for captaincy? I have to go Salah this week. I mean, he played very well in the Champions League, Salah. Against Burnley, he was absolutely abysmal. And then in the Champions League, he just became Salah again, the Salah of last season. I mean, he was taking so many shots, creating so many chances. He could have gotten one more assist if Ekitike put that tap in away. I read some article as well on Salah commenting that his chemistry with Ekitike is not exactly there yet. Not for sure at the levels that he had with Darwin Núñez or Diogo Jota last time. But I mean, it is normal. But for him to come out and say that, yeah, I mean, it hints to them having to adjust their kind of play styles to understand each other, which is what we expected, right? Luis Diaz left the team. Diogo Jota, unfortunately, the situation with him, and then Darwin Núñez also left the club. So a lot of their attackers has changed, but Salah has stayed. So he has to kind of adapt their play, and maybe that kind of explains why he has maybe not been firing as much this season. So we'll see what happens. This does not change my plans though. I still intend to sell him in game week 6, free up the funds, and then get Haaland in for Mateta. So that's the plan for game week 6 for my team. Tackle taken slowly, Pickford says, that's an interesting name. He says, Haaland, Porro, Senesi, Tosin, Rodon. Which 3 should I start? You definitely have to start Haaland. I go with Haaland, Porro, and Senesi. I go with those 3. FPL Fanatic says, need your help with a dilemma. Worth to replace Grealish or play Rodon? I think you just play Grealish. Like, you don't have to replace him. You just play him. Are there glitches with the transfers this week? There have been. Like I've seen a couple of people report that whenever they make transfers, the number of free transfers remaining for them stays the same. But I think that only happens on the app. So you have to check the desktop, or basically the website, to make sure that you're not spending transfers for free. I think more often than not, what I've heard is that they make the transfers on the app. It looks free, but then when they go onto the desktop, then they realize that the transfer has been recorded and their free transfers have been reduced. So I think make sure they go and check on desktop. Should I play Ekitike or Grealish? This week I play Ekitike. I mean, we saw Isak start midweek in the Champions League. I don't think he starts so many games in quick succession. And obviously Ekitike did not start, so I think he gets a start this week. So yeah, I would play Ekitike ahead of Grealish if it's between the two. Thoughts on starting Reinders over Van de Ven? Same dilemma. Yeah. I am thinking about it. What I might do is actually go Van de Ven, Murillo, Porro, and Anderson. Drop Reinders down to the bench. So something like this. Let me just, sorry. Yeah, so I might just do something like this. Because I honestly think that Reinders against Arsenal is going to be a really, really tricky game for him. So I don't foresee him getting too many returns, even though I think he did quite well again midweek against Napoli. Currently on a Haaland Salah team, should I stick with that or go Palmer Haaland? Not this game week, but game week 6 or 7 onwards. Yes, I think game week 6 or 7 onwards, you could go with a Haaland only draft. That said, game week 7, Chelsea will play Liverpool. So I think if you're bringing Palmer in place of Salah, then that's not necessarily a week to do it. So you might even delay that to game week 8. Start Estef or Reinders. If it's between Estef and Reinders, I would start Reinders. I think a lot of people are playing their bench boost because they think that Nottingham Forest won't get any goals, or they're taking the chance that Burnley will be able to keep a clean sheet. I think it's a decent consideration. I spoke about bench boost in the Telegram group chat earlier this week, and basically I think for those people who are bench boosting, you likely have 2 Burnley players, Esteve and Dubravka, and then the bench probably looks like Senesi against Newcastle and maybe Paqueta as your midfielder. I think it's fine to bench boost those teams. But again, if it's between choosing Esteve or Reinders, then I think you just put Reinders in your 11. Thoughts on Sancho starting for Villa, or play it safe and go for Rodgers? High risk, but what do you think? I think generally I would stay away from Villa assets, but if it's a case where he's already in your team, I think you start Rodgers. If Bruno keeps playing deep, then should we switch to Cunha or Mbumo? I think there was a bit of an analysis done, right, on Bruno Fernandes playing deep versus Bruno Fernandes playing up front, or further forward at least. And the returns didn't diminish too much, right? So I think him playing deep as well, you've seen how good he is for defensive contributions. And then the standard things with Bruno Fernandes apply. He's on lots of set pieces, he's on penalties, etc. So I think the appeal for Bruno Fernandes is that he has lots of routes to points that maybe Mbumo and Cunha don't have as much. But obviously in terms of attacking positions from open play, then Mbumo is the one that currently looks a little bit better. Cunha would just be coming back this week, so let's see how he reintegrates into the team. Yeah, I mean, Nicholas, exactly that, right? Most of us have other problems you have to deal with. Bruno is just someone you're going to get 90 minutes with. Oh, some of you guys are dropping your team IDs in the chat. Let me see. Let me see if I can put up a... Okay, let me just give this a go. We'll go over to fpl.team. Team ID is 33441. Okay, let's have a look at your team. Let me make sure that it looks fine here. All right, it's a little bit small. Okay. Question is, should I bench boost? I mean, you have Murillo. I wouldn't be confident to bench boost if you have Murillo in the team unless you're willing to replace him and then bench boost. So yeah, I think if Murillo stays in your team, I don't think I would bench boost. If you replace him, then probably yes. Team ID is okay. Lots of you guys are sending in the team IDs. I guess this is how we could do some team ratings. 5, 6, 4, 8, 6. Right. So this is Advix who says give your team a rate. So I think looking at your team, you have lots of Burnley players, I see. For this week, I don't think I will go triple Chelsea defense. So I think you could drop one of maybe Tosin down to the bench. Could play Esteve. I just like to diversify the defense generally. King, would you play him ahead of Reinders? I think that's what I would do. So I think probably what I'd do is something like this. Steph in, King in for Reinders. Probably go something like this. Captain would be, so the Haaland only drafts this week are having a bit of a problem because you don't have Salah, who probably seems like the standout option this week. So you have to look for somewhere else. I think when I look at your team here, it probably comes from the forward positions like Gyökeres, Watkins, Haaland. It's not ideal to captain Haaland this week. I also wouldn't take a chance on Watkins. To be fair, Gyökeres, the bookmakers or the market odds have Gyökeres doing pretty well, you know. So to be fair, that is one of the ways you could go. We should do a captaincy poll as well, I'm sure. Right, let me go back to my team. And yeah, I guess we'll interchange, right, between rating some teams and then answering some of your questions. Travelin says morning. Good morning to you as well. I got Haaland, therefore no Salah. Got Gakpo, but I'm captaining João Pedro. I'm pretty confident Chelsea will score goals against Manchester United. Yeah, I think if it's between Gakpo and João Pedro, I think I might go João Pedro as well. Don't have a Spurs defender. Thinking of starting Van de Ven over Reinders. You can split the risk by starting Reinders. Your recommendation is for me to start Van de Ven over. Oh, okay, I get it. So starting, which I agree. I mean, starting Reinders over Van de Ven means that I split the risk, but I also think that there's a decent chance Spurs can keep a clean sheet. I just don't think it's as easy for Reinders to get points as compared to Van de Ven. Like Reinders is also not necessarily like really good for defensive contributions. Sneaky feeling Amorim will have to play a back four at some point to save his job. I tend to agree with that. Who would you suggest to buy as the best 5.5 million midfielder for Gameweek 6 along with Haaland? So a bit of a spoiler is that I've already looked at the Gameweek 6 wildcard. The video will come out right today after the last game tonight. But I think the player that I've gone for is actually Dewsbury Hall. I think under 5.5, he's the best one to go for. Chris Wood is not injured. Team ID is... Okay, wait. I'll do a couple more team ratings after this. If Forest underperforms, should I just jump onto Arsenal assets a week early or wait after the Sunderland game? I think I'd be tempted to, you know. It's the similar thought with Villa assets. there are a number of people looking to offload people like players like Ollie Watkins or Rogers, even though they play Sunderland this week. It's a bit of a situation where there's never a good time to sell Villa assets because their fixtures are good. But then again, that could also cause you to fall into a trap where you just keep them and never sell them. So I think the earlier that you make these moves, the more comfortable you'll be with your decision. But then again, it could be a game where Watkins does well against Sunderland, right? So there's every chance of that the risk is there, but there's also a potential of it being a trap. So it's nothing wrong to take the risk earlier and just move off of these players. It's perfectly fine, especially if they've been underperforming, like Forest, or like Watkins, Aston Villa assets for that matter. Is Cunha back in the squad? Yes, Cunha is back in the squad. Antonio says 87 points for me last week. That's incredible. Going for Cole Palmer captain with no Salah. I think that's fine. I think Cole Palmer captain is fine. How would I rate my team out of 100? It's not ideal. I mean, this week I have Fernandes against Chelsea. I have Semenyo against Newcastle. Not ideal. The rest of the fixtures I'm okay with. So maybe like the 85%, I'd say. Possibility of Tarkovsky getting defensive contributions this week. I want to put it at 99.9. Thoughts on captaining Chris Wood? I don't mind it, but I also know that Ange Postecoglou is perfectly capable of dropping Chris Wood a bit earlier. I mean, we saw that in the first game that he took over. Chris Wood did not finish the game. Have him in my squad. Would you start him? It's him or Nico Williams. I would start Cunha. I'll start Cunha. He's back. Would you play Cunha or Gabriel? I would play Cunha. Vignesh says, should I bench boost? Dubravka, Reinders, Diouf, Estep on the bench. Keeping in mind that Munoz and Wood are on my starting 11. Team ID, okay. I think a team ID will help in this case. Let me just... 27290. Okay, let me move over to fpl.team. So this is your team. And you are thinking of bench boosting. Yes, I think this is bench boost territory. I mean, you could very well... Your bench actually looks something like this. So it's as I expected, right? Double. I mean, if you were to start your starting 11 as if you weren't bench boosting, then likely this is how I would set up your 11. And then it comes down to Dubravka and Estef being both on the bench. So Nottingham Forest for them. Then there's Diouf and Paqueta. So this is kind of what I expected. I think a lot of people will be bench boosting with this. I don't mind it. I think I would in your position as well. Okay, a couple of other team IDs. 235 8415. Rate your team. Your team actually looks, I mean, it's heavy on Aston Villa for sure. Could this be the week that they come back? If not, aside from that, I think it looks pretty good. It's one of those stronger teams this week, fixtures-wise. Are you bench boosting? I mean, you have Mark Guiu. I think you probably can't bench boost. So I'm assuming you're not. But the 11 looks good. Rinaldi says bench 1, Barnes, Njai, and Reinders. I think I would bench Reinders. Joe says, don't see others helping viewers like this. Yeah, I mean, thank you for that. I try to reply to all questions. I mean, another reason is also because there's Obviously not as many viewers as compared to other creators, so I'm able to answer the questions and give more uh, personalized feedback. So hopefully that one helps you guys. I appreciate that, Joe. So use free hit for game week 5. Is it good? I wouldn't free hit in game week 5. I don't think there's enough good fixtures. A lot of the big teams play each other. Like Chelsea playing Manchester United, Arsenal playing Man City. That's the biggest ones. So I mean Newcastle against Bournemouth also not ideal, right? So overall, what I'd say is not a week to free hit. Basically, I just wouldn't do it. Stanley says, my bench is Raya, Grealish, Reinders, and Goodmanson. Is it good for a bench boost? I don't think that would be a bench. If I'm honest. Stanley, I think you have to set your team up in a way as if you were not bench boosting. Then you have your starting 11, and then you look at your bench and think about whether you want to bench boost. I doubt Grealish would be on your bench. Goodmanson, I think is understandable. Raya, who is your other keeper? Yeah. Wood injury, I don't think Wood is injured. Regarding the Game Week 6 wildcard or the Game Week 8 wildcard, I'm thinking to bench boost in Game Week 6 and wildcard in Game Week 7. My team on Game Week 6 looks like a free hit. Did this week Rogers to Semenyo. All right, give me a moment. You have your team ID there. That's a really low team ID, by the way. That is a low team ID. You got it good. 3789. Oh, by the way, I don't say this enough, but if you guys are able to help me out, please join the Telegram group chat that I have. The QR right there. It just is a different way for us to connect, right? The group chat is free. Everyone is in there discussing FPL throughout the week. So I think it'd be quite cool if you guys join in. All right. So question is, excuse me. Thinking of bench boosting in Game Week 6. So Game Week 6, your team looks something like this. I think Game Week 6 is a week that a lot of people will be playing the triple captain, by the way, because Haaland has Burnley. So a lot of people will be doing that. Likely I would do it as well. But it's also a week that a wildcard is quite tempting for a lot of people because there is a bit of a fixture swing for Man City, starting with this Burnley game. Right, because they go on Burnley, Brentford, and Everton. I mean, even Aston Villa is not technically a difficult fixture. So I'd say anywhere from Game Week 6 to 10 is good enough for Man City. So there is a bit of a swing. And that's why people want a wild card. But yeah, triple captain for me is what I do in Game Week 6, likely. I'll discuss that in my later videos. But point is to say, for your team in Game Week 6, would you bench boost? I mean, Dubravka and Estef both have Man City. I don't think this is a week you would bench boost. Do you have to wildcard this week? I also don't necessarily think so. I mean, Anderson in for Agdu seems alright already. And yeah, I mean, you have Salah and Haaland in your team. I think your team looks pretty good. And you have triple Nottingham Forest against Sunderland. So I think Game Week 6, you could... I mean, if I were in your position, you could triple captain and not wild card. Game Week 7 comes around. You could consider to use your wild card in Game Week 7. I think is worth giving it a thought. But I think if not, the next bench boost window, realistically speaking, it's actually Game Week 9. Because Game Week 9, Burnley have Wolves. I mean, the whole point of looking at the bench boost right now is most people's teams will have Dubravka as your bench fodder keeper, and then you would have one of those cheap 4.0 million defenders. I think that the key reason why Burnley having a good fixture is important is because Dubravka is going to be lots of people's keeper, and therefore, when they have good fixtures, you want to be bench boosting. So for myself, what I've identified is if I wildcard in game week 8, I likely am going to bench boost in game week 9 when they have Wolves. So that is for now my plan, which I will again discuss in a later video, but at least for now, I do think that that is what I would advise as well. So I wouldn't think about bench boosting in game week 6 if I was going with this team, because it has Man City for your Burnley assets. All right, let me rambled on quite a bit. Let me move back to the team. Okay. Okay, my apologies. Okay, let me go back to the chat. So Yaki says, for game week 6, I have 5.5 million in the bank to buy a midfielder. Already have Dewsbury Hall. Who could be my best buy? Can you stretch a little bit? If it's possible, then maybe Paqueta. If not, then it's the usual suspects, right? The Andersons of the world. I mean, Elliot Anderson, of course, from Nottingham Forest. Or, I mean, you already have Keenan Dewsbury Hall. Tejani Reinders. But he's a little bit more expensive than 5.5, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's 5.7. Leon, what do you think of Ekitike to Mateta? I wouldn't do it this week. I mean, to be honest, I think right now, when Mateta also has come out to say that he's very, very fatigued. So I look at the number of games that Crystal Palace have played. Mateta genuinely looks quite tired with all the minutes in his legs. And I think Ekitike just got a rest as well. He didn't start in the Champions League game because Isak started that one. So I think Ekitike has a little bit more minutes in his legs for this week. He's more well rested. And yeah, I mean, plays for the better attacking team, of course. Would you start Murillo or Gabriel for game week 5? I think right now I'm in a bit of a tricky situation. I have Murillo still in the team. I might just leave him in because I genuinely think it's a case where if he's fit, he'll start. If he isn't, then I don't think he comes on. So I'm happy enough with that bit of a risk. If he doesn't, then I think we'll leave it, because Ange Postecoglou did say that he thinks if Murillo misses this one, he will probably feature in the cup game midweek. So what it tells me is that he's not too far away. What do you think of the crowd captain? I wouldn't do that at all. Stan says, Leon, sorry I was not able to join any of your earlier streams. Not at all. Thank you for joining today's stream. Appreciate that. Trying to renew your membership. Okay, got it. Oh, by the way, for those of you guys who I should, you see, I don't do this enough, but I should speak a bit about the memberships as well. Thanks for bringing my attention to that, Stan. So basically, on YouTube, if you go to the channel page, there's actually an option to click join. And this season, we've seen a couple more members as well. I've tried to, change up what or the exclusive stuff that I give the members, so that I'm able to kind of, interact with the members a little bit more on a deeper level. If you guys have more questions, you can always ask me in the group chat. So what the members will get, specifically the gold members, I mean, feel free to go out and check it out for yourselves on the join tab. Basically, you get access to the gold members group chat with me. You also get access to exclusive video and audio content that I record every week, right? And then I post it in the group. There's also updates of my team and transfers. So that one is because I can't post a video every single time I make a transfer, but what I can do is send a message. So that's what I also do for the members, and then there's obviously a prize league. So yeah, apologies for taking some time to plug it, but yeah, that's with memberships that I don't speak about enough, but I think it's worth speaking about if you guys want to consider it. Bench 1, Reinders, Senesi, Porro, Nico Williams, Anderson. I think it'd be one of those defenders, to be honest. Maybe it's either Senesi or Reinders that I bench. Maybe Reinders, in your spot. I think you have quite a number of good defenders there. Jazarai says, just as good, if not better than the bigger creators. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate the support. I appreciate that. Nicholas says, is United a big team? I'm honored. I mean, one of the bigger teams, I guess, but not to say that they've been doing well. They haven't. Play Tarkovsky for DEFCON. I think Tarkovsky is pretty much going to get those 2 points locked in today. With the amount of firepower that Liverpool have, I honestly think it's very hard to see Tarkovsky not getting defensive contributions. I'd even come back to this stream and clip this, and I'll say that I expect Tarkovsky to get defensive contribution points within the first half. Like, he'll get 10 defensive contributions within the first half. That's my guess. You can come back to this stream and see if it happens. Ashwin says, I've got Verts, Salah, TK, Rogers, Watkins, Wood. On paper, it's fine, but this season has just been a bit unfair for fixtures-based managers, I guess. Yeah, it is so true, especially when you have those Nottingham Forest assets or your Villa assets who did very well last season. You go heavy on them. Yeah, it's just the way that I think this season has started for some of the more better performing teams from last season. Paqueta, Goodmanson, or Senesi, who to start? Senesi and Paqueta. Dewsbury Hall, King, and Estef start 1. I'd go King against Brentford. Mandeep says, should I start Van der Ven or Reinders? Also, is Dubravka a better choice to start ahead of Sanchez this week? So there have been some quotes from Enzo Maresca, right, that Sanchez can't play every single game in the Premier League, the Champions League, etc. He thinks that there's too many games. I genuinely don't agree with that, because I mean, it's goalkeepers, right? Goalkeepers, if you talk about an outfielder and the amount of running that they do, then fair enough. But goalkeepers playing 3 games in a week, weekend, midweek, weekend, I think it's all right, but I'm not the coach. So Maresca has said that he doesn't think he wants to play Sanchez every single game. And he has hinted that Jorgensen will get starts in the Premier League. He'll get starts in the Champions League, etc. So it's a bit of a rotation risk. It also tells me that in game week 8, when I wildcard, I probably won't have Sanchez. But yeah, it's not enough for me to just be too worried about Sanchez right now. I'm definitely not going to spend a keeper transfer right now when I'm saving transfers to bring Haaland in next week. So yeah, I think in terms of Dubravka versus Sanchez, you still start Sanchez. I think that's fine. And yeah, I wouldn't think too much about the difference between Manchester United and Nottingham Forest as well. I just go for the better defensive team. Between Van der Ven or Reinders, though, it is close. I'll probably say Van der Ven if you're not doubled up on Spurs defense. If not, if you want to diversify, then you could start Reinders, like one of what the viewer said. Melvin says, would you start Murillo or Reinders? This is the question, right? I'm choosing to start Murillo ahead of Reinders, and I'm also choosing to start Van der Ven ahead of Reinders right now. Like what you see on screen right now is currently what I plan to do. If I change anything, it'll be on Instagram. Okay, I'm a bit far behind on the chat, so I apologize for that. Let me... Okay, if I miss any of your questions, just pop it in again. I apologize for that. Transfer suggestion for 19817. Okay, let's have a look. Transfer suggestion for this team. Okay, most of the attackers are fine. Do you, instead of Murillo, I think this week, honestly, you don't necessarily have to make a transfer. Yeah, I think I might roll in your position. I mean, Semenyo is the only one you're missing out, but do you need Semenyo against Newcastle this week is the entry point now? Or playing two Man City assets against Arsenal is not ideal. But who would you replace Reinders with as well? You only have 6.3 million in the bank. So yeah, I think I would roll. I think I would roll in your spot. Also, if you guys could drop a like on the stream, that would be very, very much appreciated. Will you play Murillo over Reinders? For now, that is the plan. Should I wildcard with this team? Dubravka. Sorry, should I wildcard this? Raya, Dubravka, Senesi, Van de Ven, Virgil, Gehi, Ronaldo, Gakpo, Salah, King, Anderson, Reinders, Foster, Gyökeres, Haaland. You don't have to. You don't have to. You can stick with this team. You can stick with this team. Xavi, Kudus, Mitoma. I prefer Xavi, Simmons out of all of them. Don't have Salah. Who would you captain? I think João Pedro is in consideration. Haaland always in the talks. Gyökeres is also in with an outside shot. But aside from Salah this week, it's not very clear who you would captain. So, honestly, I would even go as far as to say that this is a week, if you don't have Salah, to go with your gut and pick one of your stronger assets. Satyaki says, thanks for responding as always. My pleasure. My pleasure. Ryan says, why Sanchez over Dubravka? It's just a better defense. The better defense. Tess says, Watkins, Wood, Semenyo, or Haaland for captaincy. I would be tempted to captain one of those with the better fixtures. But you're thinking of the latter two. I mean, if it's between Semenyo and Haaland, I would still say Haaland. Because the thing with Semenyo is that, firstly, I don't think Newcastle is that easy of a fixture. Secondly, he's not necessarily on penalties. We know Haaland is on penalties. Semenyo is only on penalties if Kluivert isn't playing. Thoughts on moving Salah to Palmer for the next two matches and making Palmer captain. But Palmer plays Liverpool in Gameweek 7. So I think you just delay. I mean, the next two games that Chelsea have, this week, they play Manchester United. Next week, they will have, if I'm not wrong, Brighton. Yeah, they have Brighton. And then they have Liverpool. So I actually think that if you're making that move, you delay it until after Liverpool. Gyökeres, Semenyo, or Haaland captain. Between the three... Okay, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. If not captaining Salah, who is your captain? So let's go Haaland, Semenyo, João Pedro. There's Gyökeres, there's Wood as well. I'll put Gyökeres and Chris Wood together. Let me know what you guys think. Again, this is for those who aren't captaining Salah. I didn't put Gakpo in there as well. Should I put Gakpo in? Tess, thank you very much for that. I have no idea how many likes we're on, by the way. Could we try to get to 50 likes, like what Tez has said? We're on 22 likes. 22 likes. Could we come up to maybe 50 likes? If you guys are watching and you haven't liked, please do help me out and drop a like. It really, really helps the stream. Okay, lots of captaincy questions, actually. A lot of people are still captaining Haaland, which is like 57%. Start Voltemada or Elanka. I think Voltemada will start this weekend. Should I bench boost Dubravka, Hartman, Reinders, Gehi? Yes, just about, but yes. Goodmanson, Senesi, Paqueta, start 1. Senesi. Paqueta, then Senesi, then Goodmanson, in that order. Okay, benching headache. Let's have a look. Team ID is 738401. Benching headache. Okay, what would I do? I go Van down to the bench. King and Kudus. Okay, Cunha comes in. I think Cunha comes in ahead of King, honestly. And then Aitnuri last on the bench. King up front. Yeah, I think this is what I do. Pretty happy with this. Let me know what you think. Oh, I'm not even showing it. My bad. Yeah, this is what I do. This is how I would set up your team. This is team ID 738401. Minte or Njai? I'd say Njai for pins. Are you wildcarding in Gameweek 6? No, I'm not wildcarding in Gameweek 6, though I will have a video coming out later today. But I'm not wildcarding in 6, I'm wildcarding in 8. Should I roll? Also thinking about bench boost, but Everton, Liverpool. Okay, that's team ID. That's pretty long. 498 2108. Should you bench boost? I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Yeah, I think the bench boost is fine if you wish to play it. This is one of those reasonable weeks. Liverpool versus, Dewsbury Hall, if he's your concern, I'll say that Liverpool and Everton is always an unpredictable game. That's what I'd say. And Dewsbury Hall is pretty good for minutes, to be honest. Okay, what's a good free hit window after game week 6? I'm probably just going to use free transfers for Haaland to triple captain him. After game week 6, free hit windows wise, I think you're looking at further down the line already, because after game week 6, it starts to become wild card windows for a couple of weeks. 7, 8, 9 is also a decent one. Free hit, honestly, I think the conversation comes back after about game week 13. Luca says, bench boosting with Reinders, Dubravka, Anderson, and Steph. That's fine. Right, that looks good. Also keeping Rodgers and Watkins for one more week. So I'm rolling the transfer. I'll get Haaland and Semenyo next week. Yeah, it looks fine. It's a good idea. All right, 191. Tackle taken slowly, Pickford. Let me pull up your team. Pretty interesting team. We'll have 5 free transfers. What do I do from game week 6 onwards? Okay, firstly, the team for this week is fine. I think you're starting Chris Wood here. Probably starting Chris Wood. And maybe Elliot Anderson ahead of King. I actually think this is worth thinking about a bench boost. It is worth thinking about a bench boost because your Tosin asset here, your Chelsea defensive asset, most people will have Sanchez. So think of it of having Sanchez in your 11 and then sells as a Nottingham Forest defender. So replace Tosin with a Nottingham Forest defender here. Your fixtures actually look pretty good for the bench. So I think it's worth considering a bench boost for your team. 5 free transfers though. Then I think in game week 6, what you could look to do is maybe spread the funds around. Yeah, I think you could spread the funds around by selling Salah. Okay, back to my team. Don't think I captain a City play against Arsenal. At most, I see City scoring 1. Maybe Haaland could be the one to score it. I mean, it's 45% of people who still think that if they're not captaining Salah, Haaland will be their captain. Yeah, I mean, it's a case where, aside from Salah, this week is really, really tricky. Okay, if I put myself in a position where I don't have Salah and I have a Haaland-only draft, if I had Chris Wood, I'd be tempted to go there. I tend to just go for the fixtures. But one of my criteria is that the player must be a penalty taker. So I would always only captain penalty takers. And therefore, I may just still put it on Haaland, you know. I may. Captaining Evan Nielsen, fair enough. But he's not on pens though. He's probably third choice for pens. Why not Dubravka over Sanchez? I just don't think... I mean, a lot of people are bench boosting and that's why they're pretty hot on Burnley getting a clean sheet against Forest. But I'll say that I don't think Burnley getting a clean sheet is a given by any means. So yeah, I mean, if you're talking about Estef, like he could get defensive contribution points, and I think that's fair. But I wouldn't start Dubravka over Sanchez. Surely Watkins finally scores tomorrow. I'm honestly hoping that is the case. I've mapped out my transfers from now all the way till I wildcard, which is game week 8. I have to have Watkins in my team. I don't have transfers to remove him. And to be fair, when I planned my transfers from the start of the season, I had no intention to take Watkins out all the way until I wildcard. And it is because of the fixtures. Like, the fixtures are still so good. I mean, for those who are sitting on Watkins in your team, you would understand my frustration. Would you start Roden or Goodmanson over Reinders? Goodmanson, I think yes. I think Goodmanson is pretty good for bonus, to be honest. Goodmanson, just about. Thoughts on Jeremy Pino on wildcard? I can rotate him well for future game weeks. Then my question would always be when Ismail Assar comes back, which is likely sometime around game week 7, game week 8. What happens to your expected minutes for Jeremy Pino? Ashwin says, like the stream. Thanks for responding to the questions. Definitely one of the most underrated FPL content creators out there. Thank you so much for that, Ashwin. I appreciate that. Noah says, what do you think about captaining Evan Nielsen? I just wouldn't. Toby is in the chat. Let's go. Nice to see you here, Toby. Reinders or Tarkowski? I start Tarkowski. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I said it just now. I'll say it again. I think Tarkowski gets defensive contributions points within the first 45 minutes. What would you say is a good bench boost score? Usually, you aim for 20 points, which is about 5 points per asset. So anywhere between anything above 20 is good. Anything between 15 to 20 is a decent bench boost. Anything below 15, I think, maybe it's not as good of a score that you'd be hoping for. Should I start Raya or Dubravka? I assume Burnley will park the bus against Liverpool. I don't think so, actually. I think they play a little bit more open. Against Liverpool, they were super defensive. I mean, like, almost all the outfielders, even Lyle Foster was all the way as their striker, was like pretty much pinned back with all the defenders as well. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case against Forest, which is why I don't think that getting a clean sheet against Nottingham Forest is as easy. I mean, when you're playing Liverpool and you set up to park the bus, that makes sense. But when you're playing against Nottingham Forest, you're not going to go with the same tactic. Like, I don't see Scott Parker doing that against Nottingham Forest. But people only think back to how, Burnley defended really well against Liverpool. They'll defend well against Nottingham Forest as well. Like, they could do that, but I think tactically they would change it a little bit, and so it wouldn't be as if they parked the bus. Callan says, give some likes. I really appreciate the early streams. Always good thoughts to make a decision. Thank you very much for that. If we can get to 50 likes, I would be very, very happy. If you guys are watching and you haven't liked the stream yet, just please help me out. Help me out and hit the like button. We are on about 34 likes. So there's about 118 of you. If about like 16 of you hit the like button, we're going to get to 50 already. So please help me out there and hit the like button. That would be very, very much appreciated. Okay. We've got about 20 more minutes for the stream. So let's see how long we can go. Wanted to wildcard in 8, but feel like my worst start ever, and team is forcing me to wildcard in Gameweek 6. What do you think? I think, I mean, I won't prematurely say until I have a look at your team, but a Gameweek 6 and a Gameweek 8 wildcard is going to be, it's not going to look exactly the same, but for those of you who need the wildcard immediately in 6, I think go for it. It's one of those fixture swing windows where I think it's perfectly fine. Bench 2 of Van der Ven, Diouf, Williams, Estef, Reinders, Keenan, Dewsbury, Hall. I bench Estef and Reinders. I mean, no, I think I'd bench Estef and Diouf. I start Van der Ven, Nico Williams, Reinders again, and Keenan Dewsbury Hall. Oh, it says tackle taken slowly. Pickford says I've used my bench boost, got 18 points out of it. 18 points is a good score. I mean, it's within the range of like what you'd be hoping for. Josh, nice to see you in the chat. Josh is a member in the Gold Members Telegram group chat. He says, regretting transferring Johnson in rather than Semenyo in Game Week 2. Yeah, I mean, that was a call that at that point was very close, but that's just how FPL is. Like, these kind of 50-50 decisions, but it's all right. We'll have these 50-50s. We just have to, hope that over the course of the season, we make more that go in our way rather than the other way. So yeah, we move. A true trip to Vegas if you want to go different this go. What does that mean? Rodon or Reinders? Reinders. Travis says, I may do it. And I don't like Haaland or any of my 3 Liverpool assets. Bench boost. And Anderson captaincy fell through the lap. Nah. Shobit says, I genuinely don't know why no one is talking about Bergvall. He's good. Spurs have good fixtures. Kudus is disappointing. Even then, he's more popular. The thing with Bergvall is that you don't really know whether he's going to start every single game. Like there could be a game that it becomes Pep Sa, Bentancur, and then Jao Polina, exactly like how they started the season. Nicholas says, does Mrs. FPL Consult play FPL? Yes, she's actually playing. She's actually playing this season. So maybe later on in the season, we'll have a video to feature her. But yeah, she has decided to play and she's been playing from Gameweek 1. So maybe you guys will see her soon. FPL Shane says, hey Leon, first time on your stream since you tied the knot. Congratulations. Thank you very much for that. Transfers made before the price rise. Caicedo and Senesi in for Rice and Consa, hoping it doesn't backfire. I think, honestly, Caicedo has been really, really underrated as a pick. And I genuinely think that with how he's been performing this season, he needs to be given a little bit more consideration, which I'm glad you've done so, because he pretty much is guaranteed. I rarely am going to say guaranteed for points, but the way he tackles, the way he plays, his function in the Chelsea team is just built for defensive contributions. So I honestly think, that I would give Tarkowski, I would give Caicedo a serious consideration on my Game Week 8 wildcard. I can promise you that. Sanchez, Virgil, Gahey, Van der Ven, Cash, Semenyo, Kudus, Palmer, Wood, Evan Nielsen, Haaland. Bench is Dubravka and Bumo, Reinders, Chalaba. Do you think I should bench boost or who should I bench? I think it's a bench boostable team, I think that looks like a bench boostable team. Verts feels like he will do numbers as everyone has given up on him. That's just typical FPL then. But I think he's still adapting. I think Verts is still adapting, and I don't think that he's going to suddenly be on firing form all of a sudden. Think of getting Saka in Game Week 7. I have to wait to see more minutes from him. Is Murillo worth starting over Reinders? Is confirmed Murillo going to play? He's not confirmed to play. I genuinely think that he's in a position where if he's fit, he'll start. If he's not, then he won't come on. I'm taking that risk and therefore I'm starting him here. Should I do a -4 to transfer Wood to Haaland and Salah to Xavi next week? Next week, I think bringing Haaland in for a -4 is worth it. So yes, Liverpool game has 0-0 written all over it. They don't like the early kickoff. That is fair. Then again, it's at Anfield though, and it's Merseyside derby, so it's always one of those more fiery games. It's from the it's from the Virgil van Dijk injury a couple of years ago. I see that. Same bench as you. Thoughts on Spurs defense versus running at Estef and Sanchez versus Dubravka. I think on Spurs defense, I don't mind starting both of them this week. And that's why I think Porro and Van der Ven come in here ahead of Reinders against Arsenal. Order my bench for me. Currently, Renildo, Giu, and Saliba. I think I'd start. I think I go Renildo, Saliba, and then Giu. Yeah, because I don't think Giu gets returned or even starts. Is the 0.1 million worth it for Gabriel over Saliba? I would say yes. Captaincy currently on Palmer. Too risky, or should I go for Haaland? No. I think it's fine. I think Palmer captain is preferred over Haaland this week at least. I have Murillo with Ryan, Nuri, and Estef on the bench. What do I do? I think you start Estef then. Wrong. I think you start Murillo and then Estef first on the bench. Have you also considered Foden? Yes, I have. He's not in the Game Week 6 wildcard draft that I did up, but it's a bit of a spoiler, but I think Reinders is safer for minutes. Foden is always that kind of a player that, Suddenly he goes on a purple patch, he does really well, and then they want to manage his minutes. He doesn't get as consistent starts, or maybe he gets injured because he's quite injury prone. He's one of those kind of assets. So you have to really be strategic and kind of gamble on the right moments to go for Foden, which also depends on your budget as well. Like, do you have enough money to go for Foden and not compromise on other aspects of your team? So it's just tricky. So on a Gameweek 6 wildcard, I probably would avoid. But yeah, I mean, at least for this week, I haven't considered bringing Foden in simply because I'm not looking at making transfers. It's all centered around bringing Haaland in next week then. Are you playing the bench boost? No, I'm not playing the bench boost. I have Ismail Assar on the bench. So he's not going to play. Pick 2 from Tarkovsky, Porro, and Kudus. I'd say Porro and Kudus then. Porro and Kudus. Patrick says, playing the bench boost this week with Dubravka, Esther, Richards, and Reinders. Playing wildcard in Game Week 6. Would you sell Johnson for Javi or roll and have 2 free transfers after the wildcard? I think Johnson doesn't start this week, so I think it's worth making a transfer to take him out. So that's what I'll say. Should I pick Henderson over Sanchez? I mean, Crystal Palace's defensive fixtures honestly not ideal. Moving forward for the next few game weeks. Keeper wise, I would just if you're talking about this week specifically, picking Henderson when both are in your team, choosing to start Henderson over Sanchez, then yes. Which Spurs midfielder should I pick? I like Xavi Simons the best right now. Which Arsenal attacker has to be Gyökeres? Nicholas says, agree on Foden, high ceiling but risky. Yeah, exactly. Right. Osran says, should take the risk and captain Watkins. He has to score eventually. I mean, that's really an outside shot. It's an outside shot. I think with the way that Salah played against Atletico, I have to captain Salah. I mean, yeah, I think I have to. Grealish or Njai? I prefer Njai for the greater goal threat. Based on previous years of FPL, I absolutely hate picking City attackers. Pep roulette is real. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Give me a moment. Thoughts on Palmer captain? I don't mind it. Captain Haaland or Semenyo, then I would captain Haaland. Frank says, thoughts on this move for next week? Watkins, Bruno, and Verts for Haaland, Pepsa, and Dewsbury Hall. I like that move. Especially because you're saying that now it allows you to do Wood to Gyökeres and Sanchez to Raya for Game Week 7. I think that's great planning. 3 free transfers as well. Excuse me. Okay, all right. So I think I'm gonna go for about 5 more minutes on the stream. But if you have any last questions, put it in. But in terms of my team, I think I'm likely going to go with this 4-3-3 formation. And then if Murillo doesn't play, then Reinders comes in. I mean, the Nottingham Forest game is later today. So if he doesn't play, I mean, then it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. My apologies. Okay. Let me get to your last questions. Surely lots of people will wildcard in game week 6, but can't triple captain then. Yeah, that's the downside of wildcard 6 then. I actually value a later wildcard in game week 13 and just get triple captain and bench boost in 8 out of the way. Not sure when to free hit though. I think the free hit is much later down the line. But some people can't delay until game week 13. That's the reality of the situation. So if they can't, then wildcarding earlier is perfectly fine. I also think that you can wildcard earlier to save up your potentially 5 transfers and then, have a bit of a mini wildcard sometime around game week 13. And then 2 weeks later in game week 15, we're going to get 5 extra transfers for the African Cup of Nations. So planning to wildcard next week. Good to bench boost now. Bench has Williams, Porro, Reinders, Dubravka. Yes, I think that looks like a pretty good bench. Wildcard next week. Check out the video later on today. Nicholas says, great stream. Thank you very much for that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, please do drop a like if you haven't. Let me just have a look at how many likes we're on. Hopefully we hit 50 likes. That's just 52 likes. So thank you all for helping us to hit 52 likes. Thoughts on Raya Dubravka, Senesi, Tosin, Lacroix, Gabriel, Rodon, Palmer, Reinders, Anderson, Kudus, Semenyo, João Pedro, Gyökeres, and Haaland for game week 7 onwards. Reinders will come in by game week 6, same with Palmer. I think that team looks pretty good, to be honest. M says, I have faith in Wood. I hope he does well for you. Mackenzie says, bench boost, Reinders, Tarkowski, Kelleher, and Cullen. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Goodmanson or Milenkovic? I would say Milenkovic. Best person to upgrade Muniz to for bench boost, up to 6.2 million. Current bench is Dubravka, Rodon, and Agbedu. I would say Thiago from Brentford. Do you think Brennan Johnson starts? I don't think Brennan Johnson starts. 4 free transfers, what should I change? Sanchez, Van der Ven, Esteve, Nico Williams, Anderson, Kudus, Bruno Fernandes, Palmer, João Pedro, Watkins, Haaland, Dubravka, Njai, Diouf, Wan-Bissaka on the bench. I don't think you have to make transfers this week. It's just about setting your strongest 11. I don't think you need transfers. Okay, I think we are pretty much there for today. Pretty much there for today. All right, I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you all of you guys for coming down to today's stream. 100 over of you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. We'll leave it here for Game Week 5. Hopefully you guys, hopefully everyone gets a green arrow in Game Week 5. If you are playing chips, hopefully your bench boost works out well. If not, keep a lookout for the wildcard video that's coming out after today's games as well. And I will catch you in that video and also in further Game Week 5 content. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.